Yo guys, I'm HP, this is Dr. Pink. Today we're going to talk about jazz guitar essentials, and today we talk about the Dorian mode. After this tutorial, you know everything you need to know to master the Dorian mode, and that's basically what we're going to talk about today. And so on and so on. So we're going to learn to know the Dorian mode. We learn how to get to the Dorian mode, how to use the Dorian mode, how to play chords in Dorian mode, to express the magic of the Dorian mode. So let's get started. First, we want to figure out what in fact the Dorian mode is and when it is used. The Dorian mode is basically an extension of the minor pentatonics, and today we're going to talk about the A Dorian mode. So we're using the A minor pentatonics here in root position. You probably already know it. Now these are 5 notes, as the name is saying, pentatonics. So we need 2 additional notes to get to the Dorian mode, which would be these ones here. So this one here, the B, and here the F sharp. Here's again the B, here's again the F sharp. So this is the Dorian mode. You can add those 2 notes in any position of the minor pentatonics, but today we just stay on this one position because we don't want to take it to the max level. Just able to understand what the Dorian mode is. So these are the 2 notes which are additional, and there's one note which in fact defines the Dorian mode, and that is this one here, the F sharp. So if you want to say A Dorian, which is the note which in fact defines that we are in Dorian mode, it's when you play the F sharp. Why? Well, because I'm saying no. It's when you get the whole theory behind it, it is automatically this note defines the Dorian mode, but for today it's enough to know that this one defines the Dorian mode. So, and what is if you take a chord progression, A minor 7 to D9, here we have the F sharp. So this is a typical progression why we use the Dorian mode, and here we have the F sharp. Okay? So that's basically one really important thing to know. And you use Dorian mode on any minor 7 chord, which includes somehow this F sharp. A little chord riff would be, probably heard it many times before, and here we have exactly the F sharp, and I'll show you how this works. So this little chord riff is very typical for Dorian, okay? But you don't need to play it. You can just play a regular A minor 7 chord, which will be this one here, or this one here. I personally prefer this one here. I don't like this one so much, but this one also works, of course. Then you have several extensions. So you can have, as I already said, you have this extension, or you add the B, which creates an A minor 9 chord. Or also here, when you play the B, it also gives you the Dorian sound. What also is a typical movement when you are in a Dorian mode, you could, if you want, we already did this here. This is the A minor 7. You move up the chord to B minor 7, and then this defines Dorian. You could also do it here. I don't like the sound so much, but it will show you it also works. So I'm really staying very long on this figure because this is the very, very essential part of the Dorian mode. Because the rest is quite similar to normal minor scales, but this exact movement is often used in Dorian. Okay. Now let's figure out what we can do else to just highlight the Dorian mode. We are here in the... As I said, the F sharp is the main key note which we are trying to work around. If you play it alone, this F sharp, it sounds a bit, I would say, quirky, but not necessarily. It's a better play around it. So you can really noodle around the F sharp, and the rest you can also do an A minor 7 arpeggio. Or what is very typical for Dorian is you play A minor 7 up and down a D. Let's see how that one works. Or something like this. You start here on the B, which is a secondary defining note of Dorian, but not only Dorian. So we're playing here a little arpeggio, and then we go to this D, as already mentioned before, A minor to D. So we play the D arpeggio, and then we sound quite Dorian, I would say. One other trick, well, I would say, yeah, it's kind of a trick. Since we are moving the A minor chord to B minor 7 by just moving up 2 frets, we could also basically, if you want, that's a little trick. If you want to really figure out Dorian and you want to stick to the pentatonics, just move the pentatonics up 2 frets. And then you're going to sound quite Dorian. I'll show you. So one trick would be the trick is this called in and out playing. You start here, go out. It's not too hard out playing, but kind of. Then you go back. Don't stick to the B minor pentatonic. Just use it to get out of the regular form to create this Dorian vibe, and then you're pretty much good to go. See, works pretty well. So these are the key essentials when you really want to display the Dorian sound and the vibe of the Dorian mode, which is quite bluesy because it's very, very, very near to the Mixolydian mode. So you can also make half-tone bending here on the F sharp also works. Let's see. Also works pretty cool. It's upon to you, but these are really essentials you need to know if you want to master the Dorian mode. You guys, now comes the big question: when is the Dorian mode used? Good question. It's often used in funk. So if you have one chord and you're using the F sharp in this case, or up here, look, typical that you often use Dorian. In the jazzy realm, it depends on the analysis of the tune. You really analyze a tune, but some tunes are built upon Dorian mode. As an example, So What is just one chord, and through the melody, so if you have something, you know, one chord, and the melody, it's as A minor, and the melody includes the F sharp, then it's very clear the Dorian mode. So you have probably a whole bunch of chords, and then comes an A minor in this case, and then you have an F sharp in the melody, then it's very clear you're using the Dorian mode. Well, there's another possibility, but we're still talking about essentials here. We don't want to go too deep, but that's the most reliable sign when to use the Dorian mode. But chord progression analysis is more advanced thing that comes later, but here we're just learning the essentials. If you want to download the backing track where I play the piano, and the bass, I put the whole thing in the reverb of the Birdland. It's quite cool. So you live in the Birdland and you can practice the Dorian mode. It's available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. For premium members, also going to write down the whole stuff I was talking about here as tabs, and is also available there. If you love my channel, please subscribe. Please share to the world that me and Dr. Pink is existing, and there's of course more jazz essential stuff available also in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy in the Jazz Guitar Essential course. And one more to say. That's basically all. Share to the world that me and Dr. Pink are existing, and see you guys.